Welcome to today's yoga question. I'm Lizzie Lassiter, talking about what tech is best, how to get it together for teaching yoga online. I have 8 points for you today of things to consider and work through. I don't have concrete answers because it's a bit of a choose your own adventure depending on what you already have, how much you want to invest, how much you expect to earn from your online format. Doesn't make sense to spend a ton of money on something you're going to give away free, probably. So I'll talk you through 8 points that I think you should consider. And then each of those 8 points, you're going to probably make an individual decision that makes most sense for you. All right, so here is the one website I'm going to share with you, www.savasana.life. That's where you can get on my Sunday Savasana series newsletter. I give away lots of free goodies, Savasana downloads, etc. All right, so point number 1, rehearse. Much more so than when you teach live, I suggest you block out, it's a kind of theater term, what you're going to do in your class that you're teaching online. Just quickly before you start, double check that when I stand up and when I raise my arms, is the camera going to cut me off? Are the students going to be able to see me? Are they going to be able to hear me? Do I have the props nearby? Also, especially when you're new to it, I would have a bit more of a program before you start teaching online because, if you're used to teaching in person, you've got that figured out. But once you're filming yourself online, you have more moving parts, more bells and whistles to deal with. And it can be flustering at first to manage the tech and to teach. So know exactly what you're going to teach. Number 2, you've got to figure out a camera, some way that you're going to film yourself while you're talking and doing yoga. I use my computer mostly. That's what I'm using right now. I have a MacBook Pro that works really well. I have it up on a couple of yoga blocks. And sometimes I use my iPad. So figure out what you're going to use to capture yourself. I wouldn't suggest the phone because it usually makes a kind of long, skinny format. But if you're going to use your phone, I would turn it sideways so it's giving at least a more horizontal view. You can, of course, use like a more fancy digital camera, higher quality. I like using the computer and the iPad because they're connected to the internet and you can immediately transfer that information online. So that brings us to point number 3, microphone. I beg of you to invest in a microphone. That is the number one thing I would buy if you're starting to teach online. I use a microphone called the Blue Snowball. I'll put the link below. What I like about it is that it can capture my voice nearby when I'm sitting and talking, and it also captures my voice when I'm further away. So look for microphones that are made for like musicians and made to catch a whole sound of a whole room, because then they'll catch you're going to be, when you're teaching yoga, you're often further away from the camera. And so you want to be able to capture that sound. I read once from a filmmaker that people will forgive poor quality video in kind of homemade things, but they will not forgive poor quality audio. So your students must be able to hear you clearly in order for them to enjoy doing your classes online. Number 4, fourth thing to consider, lights. Think about how you're going to light yourself. Number 1, just that people can see you, that you're not backlit, that there's not too much light coming from behind you and then you're dark in front. So when I sit here and talk to the computer, I have just a desk lamp that you can see it reflecting here. It just shines on my face so that no matter what lighting condition is going on behind me, like let's say it's nighttime and there's no light coming through here, then my face stays illuminated and you can clearly see me. When you're doing yoga and you're further away, look at what lights you have at home, test things out, rehearse, see how you're going to get enough light, especially if you're teaching at night. because there won't be any light coming in from your windows. A lot of people really like teaching, or when they do vlogging and stuff, they say that you should turn so that you have natural light coming on your face. That's very flattering, and I suggest you try that if it works for your space. It doesn't necessarily work for my space, because when I turn and have natural light on my face, what you see behind me is my kitchen, and it's too jumbled, the background, and then I have the sense I need to clean and organize everything. So I have decided against the natural light, against my vanity, and I've turned in order to have a simplicity of having this background, which, even though this is our big living room, I can kind of always keep this space for yoga and for shooting. So that's something to consider with lighting. Number 5, you have to have a way to record your videos. So a lot of computers I know Mac has a way you can just record a video straight onto your computer. I like to use Zoom just because I'm comfortable with it, and I use it a lot for recording conversations with Mom or with Mary Richards. Like right now, even though I'm by myself, I'm like in a Zoom meeting recording this. So think about, that's one decision you have to make. What sort of technology or software program, how are you going to actually record your videos? As much as possible, of course, I recommend that you record them in one take and you don't try to edit. Editing is exhausting. It's expensive if you have someone do it for you. It takes a ton of time. And when we teach live yoga classes, we don't edit. So we have that talent and that skill to just speak for a period of time. Let yourself make mistakes. It doesn't matter. Okay? Okay. All right. Number 6, you have to decide how you're going to upload your files so that they live in the cloud. They live online for people to access them. So we use a couple things in our business, laughsitter.yoga. We use Dropbox, which I think costs about $120 a year. And I distribute our office hours files that way. So I can send you a link to that Dropbox file, and anyone who has that link can watch that video or listen to that audio. The drawbacks of Dropbox are that people can download the files if you're afraid of piracy or people sharing things too much, and anyone who has the link, people can forward the link. There's no real way for me to track if people are not really paying for our content and oversharing. I assume that some of that goes on. So it doesn't have like a login feature. The other thing we use is a website called Thinkific. I will put a link below. I think I have a tracking link that gives me and you, I think both like a discount or some credit if you end up using Thinkific. So I researched a bunch of them and I decided on that platform to host our online courses. It's made for online courses, and the advantage of an online course platform is that they handle the login feature so that anybody who's accessing your online material will have to log in, and then your videos live there. They also handle the paywall, which is one of my points further down on this list. So that's point number 6. Point number 7 is how to share. So you're going to upload the content, and then you need to share the content. So with Dropbox, you can email people this link. If you want to give it away for free anyway, you could use YouTube. Or you can also use YouTube, and it has a feature where you can have a private link. Only people who have that link can watch the videos. So that's totally free. It's a great way to test if teaching online works for you, if you have an audience for it, if it's worth investing more money, is you could, shoot with Zoom and then upload to YouTube, make private links, and then distribute those via email to people. That would be a really simple way. How to share your content. If we have Thinkific, then that is its own, it looks like a website. It's like a separate website that is our online course website. So that's the way we're sharing our content. Okay, and then the last point, number 8, very important, is how you're going to charge for your online content. How you're going to, not how much you're going to charge, but how you're actually going to run those credit cards. So you can use PayPal, you can use Stripe. There's probably some other options I don't know about, but that's the big advantage of an online course platform, is that they will ask the students for their payment information via, you can plug in, like if you had Thinkific, then you plug in your PayPal account into Thinkific, and then when the students check out, then it goes onto your PayPal account. So those are kind of the steps. You want to rehearse before you teach. You're going to figure out what camera you're going to use. You're going to buy a microphone. That I'm insisting upon. You're going to figure out the lighting and consider and think about the lighting. You're going to figure out how you're going to record, like what, not, sort of what software, how it's going to get captured, then how it's going to get uploaded, how you're going to share that, and how you're going to charge money for it. Okay? So I hope that was helpful. I'm wishing you the best of luck. I can't wait to see what happens with this explosion of digital learning. I think we're all going to up-level our game, and I think there's going to be a kind of collective consciousness that we're going to learn how to practice and teach better online. So I'm very excited for that bright spot in this Corona moment. I'm wishing you the best of luck. Big namaste. Thank you for all of your work. Your students are very lucky to have you. Here's the website one more time, www.savasana.life, Savasana. That's the place you're going to go and get on the mailing list. All right. Bye, everyone.